In the early 2000s, the internet was still in its early stages. During those years, a new type of criminal was born, one who could steal millions of dollars without ever leaving their house. At the time, Windows computers dominated the personal computing market, which provided a perfect environment for cybercriminal activities. The rise of the internet and the darknet allowed these criminals to trade stolen information, such as credit card details, and sell illicit goods and services, from drugs to counterfeit currency. At the forefront of this new wave was a man who called himself Slavik. He developed a sophisticated piece of malware which goes by the name of Zeus Trojan. The name Trojan is derived from ancient Greek mythology, where Greek soldiers hid inside a wooden horse to infiltrate and conquer the city of Troy, as a symbol of how Trojan malware disguises itself as harmless software. Typically, this malware spread through emails that tricked victims into clicking a link or opening an attachment. Once the virus was installed, it started capturing everything the victims typed on their keyboards. 24th of July, 2007. This is Sarah. She worked for the United States Department of Transportation as an administrative assistant. She walks into her office, a coffee in one hand and a stack of papers in the other. She places her things on her desk, sits down, and takes a deep breath, preparing for another busy day. Her computer hums to life as she presses the power button. She opens her email, and the inbox is filled with new messages from various departments. One email in particular catches her eye. It's marked Urgent Employee Benefits Update. The subject is enough to pique her interest. Without a second thought, she clicks on the email and opens the attachment. It looks official enough. And just like that, the Zeus Trojan gets installed and begins to silently record everything she types on her keyboard. Sarah, oblivious to the brewing storm, isn't the only one who will open that email today. It will take weeks for the IT department to detect the infiltrator. They will have to shut down their entire systems for weeks. An innocent click marked the beginning for one of the most significant cyber attacks in history. Not long after, using the exact same method, they got into Citibank, Bank of America, and JP Morgan Chase. This resulted in compromised customer accounts and significant financial damages, which were likely to be in the millions for each of the companies. Shortly after that, it hit Amazon, eBay, and Facebook, where the attackers were able to steal personal information and payment details. The captured information was sent to the cybercriminals who controlled Zeus. They logged into the victim's bank account and transferred money to a network of so-called money mules, who moved the money to different shell companies to obscure the true ownership of funds. The total financial losses attributed to Zeus ranged from $70 million to over $100 million. Since Zeus was first discovered in 2007, cybersecurity firms and researchers began analyzing the malware and tracking its behavior. Zeus operates in a centralized network which relies on a server that functions as a single command center to control and communicate with all infected devices, known as bots. It took a few years for investigators to identify some of the key players and locations involved in this botnet, and although authorities were able to seize hardware and arrest over 100 individuals, the true identity of Slavik remained unknown. Chapter 2. The worst is yet to come. While authorities were busy trying to shut down Zeus, Slavik made other plans. In 2011, he launched Game Over Zeus, a more sophisticated version that operates on a decentralized peer-to-peer network architecture. This means, instead of relying on a single control point, each infected computer could communicate directly with other infected computers, which makes it nearly impossible for authorities to shut down. With better methods to avoid detection, Game Over Zeus spread widely and caused huge problems and financial loss for individuals and businesses all around the world. But what made Game Over Zeus even more malicious was that it was customizable. In 2013, hackers made use of this feature and linked it with a ransomware called CryptoLocker. Once a computer was compromised by Game Over Zeus, CryptoLocker would be distributed and downloaded to that machine. CryptoLocker would then encrypt the victim's files and demand a ransom. This combination allowed the cybercriminals to maximize their illegal profits by first stealing banking credentials and then demanding a ransom payment to restore access to the victim's files. It spread like wildfire, causing widespread panic and financial damage. By 2014, CryptoLocker alone had extorted an estimated $30 million from victims, while Game Over Zeus facilitated the theft of over $100 million from banking institutions worldwide. Chapter 3. Who is Slavik? As the damages from Game Over Zeus and CryptoLocker mounted, international law enforcement agencies realized they needed joint effort to tackle this global threat. A monumental collaboration between agencies from multiple countries formed. Key players included the FBI, Europol, UK's National Crime Agency, as well as the Federal Police of Germany and France, forming a united front. The operation involved extensive planning, as they had to coordinate across different time zones and legal systems. Every step had to be carefully synchronized to ensure the operation's success. After several months of planning, Operation Tovar was launched. Through a combination of digital forensics and human intelligence, the FBI was able to identify Slavik as Evgeniy Mikhailovich Bogachev, the primary operator of the Zeus and Game Over Zeus botnets. His identity was now publicly revealed and an indictment was issued against him. They finally knew who he was, and now it was time to track him down. Chapter 4. The Hunt. Europol served as the central hub for communication and coordination between European law enforcement agencies, facilitating intelligence and legal information sharing among member states and international partners. The first lead took them to the Netherlands, where they had identified a critical node in the infrastructure. A server farm in an unassuming industrial complex on the outskirts of Amsterdam had been used to route traffic for the Game Over Zeus botnet. In a pre-dawn raid, Dutch special forces stormed the facility, moving swiftly through the dark corridors as the building's occupants scrambled to destroy evidence. Hard drives were seized, computers disconnected, individuals were arrested, but Bogachev was nowhere to be found. The next stop was Germany. The German Federal Criminal Police acted on intelligence, suggesting that one of Slavik's close associates operated within the country. This associate had been laundering the proceeds from the cybercrimes through a network of shell companies. They launched a simultaneous raid on multiple addresses across Frankfurt and Berlin. Armed units broke down doors, seizing computers, documents, and encrypted data. The tension built as the officers scanned through the seized files, hoping for the slightest clue that would lead them to Bogachev's whereabouts. But once again, he was nowhere to be found. The raids and investigations continued throughout Europe for months. They were ready to give up, but then...
Secure the target. Target not found. Over.